Hello everyone and welcome to Shell Point Today for Wednesday, June 15th. I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi.
And I'm Rich Nation. Thanks for joining us today. On our program, Ruth Deuber will be back in her kitchen to give us another great recipe that you can try at home. And Shell Point Salon and Spa Manager Robyn Church will tell us about a GM Colin facial special that's running all of this month.
But first, we'd like to remind you again about tomorrow's Health Connection class, where you can learn all about how to hydrate yourself with flavor. The class will provide tips and tricks to ensure that you have proper hydration during the long day. Come learn from registered dietitians Courtney Niebauer and Sandy Brower, who will also bring samples of hydrating foods and beverages for you to try. The presentation takes place at 2:15 in the Social Center, and sign-up is required.
On Friday, you don't want to miss a celebration of fathers with Corvettes, coffee, crullers, and clips event from 9 to 11 a.m. in the Administration Circle on the island. Come out and enjoy the display of Corvettes while having coffee and donuts. Men will also receive complimentary neck and eyebrow trims courtesy of the Shell Point Salon and Spa. This is a free event, but you need to sign up by contacting either service desk.
And now it's time for What's Cooking with Ruth Deuber. On today's show, she'll be making a delicious recipe of apple dumplings.
Welcome to What's Cooking at Shell Point, and I have a guest today, Eleanor Perkins. I'm sure she's pretty well known around the campus here, but she had this wonderful recipe, and I heard about it from about 3 different people, and they kept saying, well, I got it from so-and-so, and I got it from so-and-so. We finally found the original, and it's Eleanor's recipe for apple dumplings. So I'm going to let her go ahead. Naturally, the apple, I'm going to go ahead and peel that while you start with the rest, Eleanor.
All right. The first thing you do is make a little sauce that's going to go on it. 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/2 stick of butter, then 1/2 cup of apple juice, and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And I guess I never measure, Miss Ruth, my vanilla, but I guess I'll have to for this. I just always dump it in. But, all right. Put that on the stove, and it just has to heat up. Which eye have you got on?
I have the burner on right
there. Okay.
Okay.
When it all melts, and you just stir it together, and it'll be fine. Heat the oven to 350 degrees. Take a small 8-inch pan and spray it very lightly with Pam or whatever you use, just a little bit in the bottom. Ruth has cut up the Granny Smith apple for me. I use about 1/3 to 1/2 of an apple, a fourth or a third of an apple for each one. Then you take your crescent dinner rolls. Use each one of your triangles for one section of apple. So I'm going to pull these apart. Oh, this is the one that we had to dig apart. Right there. Which way do you reckon that goes on there?
You have to patch it up. There you
Well,
go.
we'll just make it fit.
Sure.
Okay. Take one piece of apple, put it on there. I just fold it over, do it like that, and just kind of press it down around the edge and put it in your pan. Yeah, just stirring the sauce. There you go. All right. Now, you take, for the topping, I I've got a fourth, did you put a fourth of a cup of sugar?
It's 1.5 tablespoons.
1.5 tablespoons of sugar and
a half a tablespoon
a half
of
a
cinnamon.
tablespoon of cinnamon.
I would imagine you can sort of adjust
Yeah.
that, you know, to your taste.
I usually use a fourth of a cup of sugar and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. You take your sugar and butter and apple juice and vanilla after it's completely heated and the butter's melted. Just pour it over the apple dumplings. Okay, thank you. Then you take your cinnamon sugar mixture and sprinkle that a little bit over the top of each one. And you can do this to taste. If you like more of it, you can put a little bit more. I was telling Ruth, when I make my apple dumplings, we like a lot of juice. So I make twice the recipe of the liquid, the apple juice, the butter, the sugar, and the vanilla, to put on mine so that it has a lot of liquid on it, and especially for reheating, because they reheat beautifully, then you've got plenty of liquid left over to keep them juicy and moist if you reheat them. So you take this, put it in the oven, the 350 degree oven. My oven takes 40 minutes.
Well, we'll start it.
So,
Now looky there.
and this is what they look like when they come out. And your house
Yum, yum, yum,
smells
yum.
wonderful when you make them, because you have that wonderful cinnamon apple aroma that's everywhere.
Do you want to take one out and put it on that plate?
Okay, you reckon I can get it with this?
Well, let's see.
All right,
Yeah. Perfect.
and I'll put just a little bit of extra juice on there. There you go.
Oh, okay.
We get to try?
We sure do.
Okay.
Couldn't turn this down.
No. It is.
Good. It is excellent.
Yes.
Kind of reminds me of up north in the fall. You know, when the cider is out and you go to the farms and pick the apples off the
Yeah.
trees yourself.
And the wonderful aromas.
But we can't do that here.
No.
But we can at least make these apple dumplings.
Yes. And the recipe doubles. The original recipe was for 8, and then you would make 3 times the juice if you wanted to have a lot of juice. But it's very easy to double, and it does reheat. Just put them in the refrigerator, what you have left over, and reheat them one at a time or however you want.
I've served them with ice cream on
Yes.
top after they're warm.
Yes.
That's wonderful. With good
My
whip
husband
or
likes them
whipped
with
cream.
whipped cream.
Anyway, you like
That's
it.
right.
That's right.
They're
So-
good cold, they're good warm, just it doesn't
Yeah, that's
matter.
right.
They're just
Yeah.
delicious.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Eleanor. I really appreciate your coming
Thank
today
you
and
for-
showing us this wonderful dish. And you'll be able to find the recipe on www.shelfpoint.net under What's Cooking. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And now let's head out to the Island Salon and Spa, where Robyn Church has a special going on this month. Yes, that's the wonderful thing about the Salon and Spa. They always have great specials going on. And if you like getting facial treatments, then listen up. Here's Robyn to tell you about the GM Collin 90-minute facial you'll want to take advantage of.
Hi, my name is Robyn, and I'm the salon manager here at Shell Point. And in June, we have our Collagen 90 on special. The Collagen is a 90-minute facial. It's greatly relaxing. It is a very intensely hydrating, anti-aging facial. It leaves the skin just soft and supple, and it's just really great. When you have a Collagen 90 in June, you can select your choice of any skincare product you'd like at half off. It's a great way to relax and rejuvenate with a wonderful facial and then take home a great skincare product to use at home to just kind of keep those benefits going. So if you'd like to make an appointment, just give us a call, 489-8400. Thanks, and make it a great day.
And now it's time to cover all of today's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections.
Hello and welcome to the Happening segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Caitlin Vanscoy, and I'm here to give you all of Wednesday's activities. We start at 7:45 with men's Bible study in the Osprey room. Then we move to 8 o'clock for pickleball at the game courts. Men's round robin tennis will be at 8 o'clock at the Woodlands tennis courts. And 9 o'clock's the time for Geraci travel in the Egret room. Watercolor group with Phil Hilton will be at 9 o'clock in the art studio. And 10 o'clock's the time for men's match play tennis at the Woodlands. The Model Yacht Sailing Club will be at the Commons Lake at the Woodlands at 10:15, sailing their boats. And the Women's Ministries Global Outreach Group will be in the hospitality room of the church at 10:15. Our last morning activity is a Health Connections class at 11:30, ball edition in the Tarpon room. We move to 12:45 for a Health Connections class, Advanced Strength and Conditioning, in the Tarpon room. And chess will be available at 1 o'clock in the library lounge. A Health Connections class entitled Osteo Break Free will be in the Tarpon room at 1:45. And come out for Jazz and Stuff at 2:30 in the Grand Cypress room of the Woodlands. 3 o'clock's the time for Pilates stretch in the Tarpon room. And we move to 5 o'clock for the singles table. That'll be available at the Crystal Dining Room. Church choir rehearsal will be held in the Village Church Choir Room at 5:45. And we round out our Wednesday at 7:15 with prayer and praise in the Village Church. Well, I'm so happy to see you here today. I'll see you right back here tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Wednesday. At 1 o'clock, Intermediate Bridge continues in the game room of the Woodlands. Tomorrow, we've gotten to Session 3 of the History of the United States to 1815 with Professor Adrian Kerr.
Menus for Wednesday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is barbecue ribs with seasoned greens and mac and cheese. For dinner, they're featuring their a la carte menu, and the soup of the day is black bean. In the Island Cafe, the sandwich special is a meatball hoagie with fries for $7.75. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill are lamb ossobuco for $20.95 or shrimp and chorizo over Spanish rice for $16.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm David Pavey. Some time ago, I read a book entitled Rumors of Another World by the celebrated author Philip Yancey, who wrote it specifically for those who live in what he calls the borderlands of belief, the region between belief and unbelief. Quote, he wrote it for those who were skeptical of religion and turned off by the church, which is why he entitled it Rumors and not Proofs. Yancey wants us to consider the possibility of an unseen, supernatural world of beauty and purpose coexisting with our visible world. In Rumors of Another World, Yancey describes an experience that he once had in Costa Rica. I read it a decade ago, but I've never forgotten it, so I thought you might appreciate it too. Let me share it with you now. Here's what Yancey wrote. One night in Costa Rica, I joined a guided expedition to a government reserve in order to observe a natural phenomenon. Giant leatherback turtles laying their eggs. The guide used a red-filtered flashlight so as not to disorient the turtles, and at midnight we trudged for almost a mile along the beach, its sand still warm from the day's sun, until we found a turtle preparing her nest. The turtle reached down in the soft sand, one muscular flipper at a time, to scoop out and then fling the sand behind her. As she worked her way down, each scoop required more and more effort. The sand got wet and heavy, and she had to fling it above the rim of the hole she was digging. Eventually, she reached a depth of 3 feet, her body fully submerged in sand. And now each flinging of the sand thrust her whole body to the side, and despite her best efforts, much of the sand still fell back into the trench. She scooped it up and again slung it toward the surface. We tourists from Germany, Holland, Costa Rica, and the United States stood in silence late into the night, spellbound, watching this primordial drama. The crashing surf made a rhythmic soundtrack, and silvery clouds drifted over the moon. The mother turtle heaved and gasped, her mouth opening and closing, like a fish laboring to breathe. And finally, after an hour's hard work, the trench satisfied her, and she began to drop shiny white eggs the size of billiard balls. They glistened in the moonlight, gelatinous. We counted at least 60. The last few eggs were smaller, also infertile, said the guide, so that if predators uncovered her nest, these would go first. Her task accomplished, the leatherback clambered slowly out of the nest and began a 45-minute process of filling it in with the sand. Her powerful front flippers, made dexterous by separate fingers, could toss sand 10 feet behind her. She filled the trench, tamped the sand delicately as with loving care, added more on top, packed it too, and then made a wide circle of disturbed sand to confuse any predators. Exhausted, she lumbered off, dragging herself on the sand and resting every 3 or 4 strokes toward the sea. We watched as the smallest waves, their foam glowing in the moonlight, repeatedly pushed her back towards the shore. But at last she gained the strength to lunge past the waves, dipped her head beneath the surface, and disappeared. The guide informed us that the mother turtle weighed almost a ton and was probably 100 years old. I said 100. The largest reptiles on Earth, leatherbacks, don't even breed for the first 60 years. I said 60 years, 60. And of course, the mother never sees the results of her efforts. When the babies hatch, they burrow to the surface and make a mad dash to the sea, with only a third surviving the onslaught of coyotes and raccoons and seagulls. The sea poses many more dangers, and few of the baby turtles live to lay eggs themselves. But those who do will unfailingly return in 60 years to the same beach in Costa Rica, one of only 3 beaches frequented by leatherbacks. Revisiting the site the following morning, I could barely make out the camouflaged nest. Tracks like those made by a large-wheeled all-terrain vehicle led from the nest to the sea. The mother turtle's flippers had made the rounded furrows, and between them I noticed a much more shallow one, made by her dragging tail. I sat on a piece of driftwood and thought of the immensity of the world within the sea. How little of the creation do we humans understand, much less control. The wonders of instinctual behavior, the rhythms of nature that go on and on, whether any humans observe them or not. The comparative smallness of human beings. I made a conscious choice to turn the memory of the previous night into an act of gratitude or even worship. It had put me in my place. It's hard to dwell on the mysteries of the natural world and continue to live in the borderlands of belief. Thank you for tuning in once again to Village Church Connections.
We'd like to thank you for joining us for this Wednesday, June 15th edition of Shell Point Today. Tomorrow on the program, we'll take you out to the Friday marketplace on the island to meet some of the newest vendors and check out what people are buying there. Also, we'll visit the Shuffleboard courts out on the island behind the administration courtyard. Until then, I'm Rich Nation.
And I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi. We hope you have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.